Yeah.
You're going to go through adversity either way. You might as well go through adversity and end up on the top of Mount Everest.
Right. For something you want to do.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
And so I was just so obsessive with this goal that I was not enjoying the process. Downtown San Diego has a really bad homeless problem.
Yeah, it does.
And that homeless problem translates into crime. Governing is not rocket science. Public servant is someone that actually understands the role that they're running for, and they care more about the job than the title.
I love that you're taking that initiative, because somebody has to.
Someone has to. You had to. You had no choice. It was either give it your all or you're probably going to die.
Welcome to another episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. With me today, I have Richard Bailey, former mayor of Coronado, local business owner, mountaineer, and someone who believes deeply that the best way to change the world is to just start. Richard has stood on the summit of Mount Everest, led a city through the complexity of local governance, and is now in the middle of a civic push to repeal parking fees at Balboa Park, one of San Diego's most beloved public spaces. His message is simple. Whatever it is, just start it. Richard Bailey, welcome to the Gynergy Effect podcast.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Let's go, brother.
Let's do it.
I'm grateful to have you here.
I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be good. You have really incredible energy. Just kick it off. What's one thing that you're grateful for this year?
Let me tell you, now this sounds so simple, right? But I was literally reflecting on this past weekend. Obviously perfect weather. And my good friends and I are just playing beach volleyball down at South Mission. And I was just soaking it all in. I'm like, gosh, like how does it get any better than this? So just some good friendship, some good beach volleyball, and some good weather. Can't beat that.
And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like I died, because I've almost died a couple times in my life.
Wow.
I'm like, man, I feel like I've actually died and this is heaven.
Right.
Like I grew
How'd
up
you
in
beat
Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
and the weather dictates so much of what you do.
Right.
But in beautiful, sunny San Diego, it's like no humidity, no pests. It's just beautiful, perfect weather. It's like
Year round.
if you cannot be happy here, I don't know. You
That's something about you, not San Diego.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've climbed Mount Everest and you run a city. Both require massive preparation and ability to keep going when it's hard.
Yeah.
What's the one mindset shift that applies to both that anyone listening can use today?
This is going to sound so cliche, but it is true. Can I tell a little story?
Please.
All right, let me tell a little story. So I first discovered or heard about Mount Everest when I was 12 years old. My mom took me over to Balboa Park to go see a documentary at the IMAX theater about Mount Everest. And from that moment, I became obsessed with it and I wanted to go climb it one day. And so sure enough, fast forward a bunch of years later, and I do all the training, do all the prep work, get all the gear, and I go to try to summit. And this is in 2023. And my entire mindset was focused on just summiting. Summit, summit, summit. That's all I could think about. Well, the whole expedition is like 38 to 45 days. Like it's a long expedition. And so I was just so obsessive with this goal that I was not enjoying the process. I was not focused on the journey and just kind of soaking it all in. My first attempt to Everest, I get up partway up the mountain after 20 or so days. I come down with a bug, get sick, and have to get helicopter off the mountain.
Wow.
And my second time around, I really just focused on the journey, the experience, the process, knowing that the summit would come along the way if I just do the process correctly. Same thing is true in public policy, that there's a right way and a wrong way to conduct public policy. And if you just focus on the outcome and not on getting the process right, you're less likely to achieve the outcome. So focus on the process and the outcome will come.
Focus on the process and the outcome will come.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Because a lot of us, I think that is the trap of the human experience. We get so enamored with, oh, when this happens, we'll be this, or when we get here, that will be, and we look for that to fulfill us.
Right.
But then when it's just about the end goal, and we're not really falling in love with the process, or at least being present in that process, we miss life.
You miss life, and you'll oftentimes miss the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like through your experience of climbing Mount Everest has also that parallel with running a city
Yep.
and understanding how to give direction on all these little things. It's not ever going to be about the outcome of Coronado, for instance, one of the most epic
It is.
places in
Yeah.
the world, right? Like it's
Yeah.
so unique, it's beautiful, and to protect that is so important,
Right.
right? And so that's a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
And if the goal is just to protect it and not actually the daily actions that it takes to create a great
Right.
environment and city, then eventually you're probably not going to be creating that outcome that you
That's right.
desire.
If you're holding on too hard to it, it'll just slip through your
Yeah.
fingers. And over in Coronado, governing is not rocket science. Like I'm certainly no genius by any stretch of the imagination. However, like when you break down the fundamentals of anything, but as it relates to public policy, as it relates to civic leadership, as a city, you're really only responsible for three things: public infrastructure, public safety, and accomplishing those first two objectives in a financially responsible manner.
Mm.
And if you can just do those things right, pretty much everything else takes care of itself. And that's why when you go over to Coronado and you drive on our roads, like you notice the difference between Coronado and the city of San Diego.
Yeah,
No offense, San Diego, but we all know it's true.
it's true.
You notice the difference in the cleanliness of the parks. You notice a difference in the public safety, right? You feel safe when you're walking around Coronado's downtown business environment relative to, say, San Diego's. And when you create that kind of environment, well, it naturally drives up home prices because people are drawn to want to go into Coronado to live in this type of city. And when people are willing to pay to live in a type of city like Coronado, they take pride in ownership. And so they're more likely to invest in the community, be part of the community. So then that creates a great community fabric. Then it attracts more people and more businesses. And then you end up over time with just a really wonderful city like Coronado. But that could be replicated anywhere if you get back to basics and focusing on the policies and the processes to get you there.
Right. Focus on the basics.
Yeah.
Where do you see? Because obviously there's some disconnection that you see right now.
Yeah.
You got Coronado, which is, I think the pinnacle,
Yeah.
right? It's just beautiful. Really, there's a lot of pride that goes into it. And I think some of the things that are allowed to happen here in downtown would never be allowed to happen in Coronado.
Never.
Where do you see that kind of break in that bridge, right? It's like there's that connection point of what's going well here and what hasn't been implemented in the basics here. Where do you see this being able to lift? And if you're in there and you're able to get those basics going,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
It probably comes down to San Diego to really two things: philosophy and also execution. So in San Diego, they tend to have a general philosophy of, the individuals that look, let's just be honest and just like, cut through all the BS. Downtown San Diego has a really bad homeless
Yeah,
problem,
it
and
does.
that homeless problem translates into crime, and that
Yeah.
homeless problem combined with the criminal activity translates into fewer people coming down to especially the East Village,
Right.
which then harms the businesses, which then creates vacancies, which
Yeah.
then creates the spiral. And
Yeah.
it all starts with philosophy and execution. So San Diego has pretty much taken a hands-off approach to homelessness, where if you are a homeless individual and you want to set up a tent on a sidewalk, chances are you're going to be able to do that. If you're a homeless individual and you want to shoot up on the street, chances are you're going to be able to do that without any repercussions or accountability, even though that's in violation of many laws and local ordinances. However, if you're driving your car and you park, at a parking stall and you don't pay that meter, you're probably going to get a ticket
Or toad.
or towed or towed. And so really the city is taking the philosophy of they're punishing all of the, good actors that have invested in the city, that live here, that have a business here,
Yeah.
and they are allowing those that are detracting from that environment to go without any accountability.
Why do you think that is?
It's just a different school of thought. In Coronado, I'll tell you. So, a lot of people say, "Oh, Coronado does not have a homeless problem," and they're right. Coronado does not have a homeless problem, but that didn't happen by accident. Coronado is one bus stop away from East Village, which is the epicenter of the homeless problem in downtown San Diego. Okay, one bus stop away,
Right.
and so it happens quite frequently where homeless individuals or an individual or individuals will take a bus, come to Coronado. They'll attempt to put out their belongings. They'll attempt to put out a tent, and within a matter of minutes, Coronado's police department will make contact with that individual in a respectful and professional way, and they will offer that individual services. They will let the individual know, sir, ma'am, Coronado taxpayers and the city of Coronado have funded shelter space that is dedicated for our use. We can provide you transportation there right now. You'll have a roof over your head within a matter of hours and services to get you back on your feet. We're happy to make that happen for you. However, if you say no to that, that doesn't give you the right to break any of our other rules.
Then
So
we'll
either
hold you
way,
accountable.
yep, exactly. We are the philosophy was really making saying yes to getting help and off the streets the only option. Either way, you're not allowed to stay here. We have help for you available, but if you refuse it, that's your choice. You just can't stay here. And because we've been so adamant about that for so long, Coronado, despite being just one bus stop away, is
One bus
a
stop.
different world than downtown San Diego.
Completely different world.
Yeah.
I will say that I didn't know how much we are going to dive into this,
Yeah.
but I think we're going to spend some time here because I've been in downtown. I'm in Little Italy, but downtown area
Yeah.
for 5-6 years now. And when I first moved down here, I did not understand how it would be acceptable
Right.
to allow this to happen because I've seen crazy stuff. You're just walking down the street. There's people shooting up.
Yeah.
There's people that are half naked. They're walking around. They just smell. They're not. They haven't bathed in
Right.
who knows how long. Their butts hanging out.
Right.
And like there's kids walking.
Kids.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how many. A lot of women don't feel
Of
safe
course not.
walking outside.
I don't feel safe.
Yeah, and
Right?
and you're a tall,
Yeah.
strong, strapping man over
Right.
here. Like
Yeah.
you can handle yourself, and you still don't feel safe.
Totally.
And I've actually had a chair thrown in my vicinity, like with the homeless guy screaming, yelling.
Right.
And it creates a really unsafe environment that I felt has been unnecessary because it's like, okay, we want to give these rights, but we don't want to. Why are we giving rights to somebody? Like, we have to protect those that can't protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And I understand there's like, hey, we don't want to profile or like put people in a psych ward that shouldn't be there. But at
Right.
the same time, if somebody's walking around half naked, I seen this guy never bathes.
Right.
He has his butt's always hanging out. Smells, you can smell him from 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And he's been here for 4 years. And just lately, I haven't seen him, but 4 years straight. And every time I'm like talking, I'm curious. I
Yeah.
want to have a discussion. I'm asking people, like, how is this okay? Like,
Right.
walk me through where in your mind does it seem like this man that obviously can't take care of himself, sleeping on the street,
Right.
not bathing, is obviously creating issues for other people. There's kids, seeing him have like where is this okay where he shouldn't be pulled from this situation
Right.
and put somewhere that's a better situation to help create a different change in his life
Absolutely.
or at least not be impacting everybody else that he is,
Exactly.
right? So if maybe that can't happen, but this sure can.
Right.
And where from a leadership standpoint do we say it's okay to we're just going to ignore it
Right.
and it's just going to become a way of life
Right.
and be acceptable because now we've just kind of trained ourselves that, hey, downtown San Diego, one of the most beautiful cities in the world that I love.
Right.
We're just going to be okay with people shooting up in the street,
Right.
people yelling constantly, and
Defecating on the sidewalk.
defecating and making people feel uncomfortable. Where is that? How is that ever okay? And this should be a very prosperous city.
Totally.
Like it's an incredible place. And the first time I ever saw something with you was a post that you made about this specifics.
Yeah.
And I had no idea, wasn't like searching anything, just came up on my feed and I just saw you and I was like, man, this guy has the most common sense approach that I've heard anybody speak about this. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why nobody else was speaking about it in that same way, because how great will our city be
Right.
when we actually address what the root cause of the problem is?
Exactly. Or here's another one for you. When we accept the city's limitation on addressing certain causes. And so what do I mean by that? So my philosophy on the homeless situation from the lens of a public official is that cities have a dual responsibility. Cities have a responsibility to connect those that want temporary assistance with temporary assistance. Emphasis on temporary. It cannot be permanent. There's not enough resources to make it permanent. So connect those that want temporary resources with temporary resources. But the second responsibility is to the general public to maintain clean and safe public spaces, period. And this was where it gets back to, Cornell's approach was, look, just because you refuse to get help doesn't mean we're going to let you violate all their other laws and mess up other public spaces and make the parks and the streets and the sidewalks less safe for everyone else, because we as a city have a responsibility to everyone else as well.
Okay,
And
responsibility.
and who else doesn't benefit from that situation you just described, of the gentleman that lives around here with his butt hanging halfway out of his pants all the time? That guy, right?
No.
Like he is not better served from a public that just looks the other way, from a city that just constantly looks the other way. Now, can I tell another story?
Yeah,
All right.
please.
So when you look at back in 2014, the homeless population nationwide was about 620,000, give or take.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2023, 2024, the homeless population, do you want to guess what it was nationwide?
Probably quadrupled.
Right? It feels like it.
Yeah.
It was only about 650,000. So it only increased by less than 10%.
Yeah.
Okay, but why does it feel so much worse in California? That's because it is. So in most states over that 10-year period, homelessness actually was flat or decreased on a per capita basis, except for a handful of states. One of those states was California, where you have this massive increase. San Diego County and the city of San Diego also saw a corresponding massive increase. So that begs the question, what happened in 2014? Like, why was 2014 the inflection point? And what you find when you look at the data and you match the rise in homelessness up against changes in state and local policies, is that prior to 2014, if the gentleman that we were just describing earlier was shooting up heroin in the street,
Right.
he would be arrested for a felony crime of using a hard drug in public.
Right.
He'd be taken in front of a judge, and the judge would say you're either going to jail or you're going to a drug rehabilitation program. Either way, you're coming off the streets at least for a bit.
Right.
After 2014, there was a statewide proposition that was called the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. And what it did was it decriminalized a lot of activities, such as shooting up in the street. It reduced the criminalization from a felony to a misdemeanor. And so, today, if that same individual is shooting up heroin on the street, that's just a misdemeanor, and they're only subject to a citation. And when you combine that with another change where prior to 2014, if you went into Best Buy and you stole a TV worth more than $450, you were going to jail for a felony. After 2014, that threshold got raised to $950. So you could go steal a TV today, tomorrow, and every single day. As long as it was under $950, you were going to get a misdemeanor citation at worst. So you could use criminal activities and then fund your drug addiction, live on the street without any repercussions. The combination of those two policies is in many ways what led to the rise in homelessness that we saw around the county, that we saw around the state, and also, unfortunately, what we saw the effects that happened to a lot of businesses who are suffering as well.
So it's interesting because now you have people that don't feel safe walking down the street. And what was the name of that act?
The Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act.
Isn't that funny how the acts and the bills that we pass
Yes.
always are the opposite?
Opposite.
So when they say, oh, it's the Anti-Inflation Act.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Get ready
gonna
for some
create
inflation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's like the most interesting way that they, yeah. So thank you for sharing that because
Yeah.
that's really good information. So when we take stakes off the table, right? When there's no consequences
Right.
at all, then how are people, why are they not going to do it? Like, why
Right.
would you not want to be homeless here in San
course,
Diego?
of
If you're going to be
course.
homeless, you're creating an environment to breed that.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't we want to create an environment to breed greatness, to
Exactly.
breed help, like
Right.
lift? Because I have a lot of empathy for the homeless. Like
Absolutely.
I go down, I feed the homeless. Like we as a group, we volunteer. We go down to Mexico, build homes for families. Like we're always doing different things like that. That's part of our ethos.
Right.
Right. So it's like I have a lot of empathy, but it doesn't mean that that's okay.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So we should create an environment that lifts them, that
Right.
rehabilitates them. And not everybody can be helped for a variety of different reasons.
Right.
But most people can, and they desire that.
Absolutely.
Right. And so we don't know where people are. And if we approach each time as a human being, and like if I'm sitting there, I wouldn't want to just be left walking down the street like
Right.
that with because that's where I was.
Right.
Like I would hope that somebody would intervene and say, hey, you know what? Let me help lift you.
Right. And the reality is that the vast majority of what are known as chronically homeless individuals, those that are on the street for more than 12 months at a time, such as the ones we see around, East Village, downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
The reality is that most of them do suffer tragically from drug addiction.
Yeah.
And you have drug dealers that prey on that drug addiction.
Right.
And if you know anyone that suffered from addiction, and I'm sure you do, I do as well. And the
Yeah.
only way they got help was at the point of law enforcement. There had to be an active diversion in their life. And the vast majority of the time, that diversion is going to come
Or
from law
almost
enforcement.
die.
Or almost die. Exactly. And
Those
the
two
hospital.
things.
It's rarely happens.
Either way, they're taken out of the environment.
Yes, have to be.
In both those scenarios.
Yes, have to be. Yeah.
So
when the city looks the other way, they're not helping the general public, and they're not helping that homeless individual either.
how do we change that here in San Diego, here in downtown? What do you think that runway is to see that change?
Yeah, great question. So voters kind of revolted in 2024 against that proposition of the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act, and they passed something else. This was called Prop 36. And Proposition 36 passed in 2024 by over 2/3 of voters. So this had widespread bipartisan support. Said, you know what? If you commit multiple misdemeanors, the district attorney is allowed to roll those up, aggregate those into a felony.
That's good.
And this now can create the stick that forces people into drug rehabilitation programs. Now you just need a local government that's actually willing to follow through on policing, certain crimes. Unfortunately, in the city of San Diego, they have what's known as a 4-contact policy when it comes to addressing the homeless individuals. Let's say you see a homeless individual creating, having some type of quality of life issue, right? That's defecating on the sidewalk or whatever.
Yeah.
First time you call the police department, they're going to go make contact with that individual, and they're going to say, "Sir, ma'am, I'm here to provide you with information that what you're doing is illegal." Second contact, right? So a second phone call later. "Sir, ma'am, I'm here to let you know that this is a warning that what you're doing is illegal." Third contact, "What you're doing is illegal, and I'm issuing you a citation." And it's only on the fourth contact where the police department, per the city of San Diego policy, is able to make arrests and hold people accountable for their actions. And so when you have a situation where you have fewer police officers today than you did in 1990 in the city of San Diego, and over half of the calls to 911 are related to homeless activity, it's no wonder why. And when you have that 4-contact policy where you can't really take any action until you've done 4 contacts with the homeless individual, that there's still no accountability. So the city could go down to 1 contact. Hey, if you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. It doesn't matter what your housing status is, because we should be treating everyone equally under the law. So you break the law, you're going to be held accountable, whether that's to go to jail, whether that's to go to drug rehabilitation program. Either way, you'll have your due process, but the police's responsibility and the city's responsibility is to enforce laws equally. And right now that's not happening. So I think if we were to get back to that approach where we're setting the expectation, not that you're going to get this right on the 4th time, you're going to get this right on the 1st time. And if you're not, there's going to be consequences, right? We're creating a different standard. And I think that'll help turn downtown around very, very quickly and help people get the help they need.
Well, yeah, this is twofold, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing any favors. And my mom, I grew up around addiction. Meth and different things like that.
Yeah.
Like I have family that suffers from it still. So I understand the impact, and I grew up around that aspect. Like, I get how devastating that is,
Right.
and what it attracts
Totally.
as well. Because when you're in that environment, like, that's all that your whole everything's warped.
Right.
The reality, your sense of, duty, responsibilities, your value system, everything's warped.
Right.
Right. And so why not, if somebody's not behaving in an appropriate manner,
Right.
like, the amount of resources, it sounds like, that we have are limited.
Very limited.
Sounds like we already have less police, and I'm not for, like, a lot of police, like, I'm like
Totally.
private rights,
Of course.
but at the same time, like, I appreciate the police department,
Right.
because they're here to protect us.
They play a role.
When we don't want to be the ones that have to protect ourselves,
Right.
we call them, and then they step up in that line of defense, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something that should be honored, because that's not an easy role to play.
Not an easy role to play.
No.
And it's a necessary role too.
And it's a very necessary.
Right.
So that should always be respected. But when we're talking about the fact that there's a limited amount of resources,
Mm-hmm.
you have a situation that continues to manifest and it breeds more and more,
Yep.
but yet you're putting such a like a additional hurdles to be able to create any type of outcomes.
Right.
Like four, that just seems completely, out of
Right.
line and misconceived. So it sounds like you're taking steps to make some changes in San
Right.
Diego that will help solve some of that.
The fact is that bad policies got us in the situation. That's the bad news, but it's also the good news, because if it was bad policies that got us in this situation, then good policies and good leadership can get us out.
Good policies and good
And good
leadership.
leadership. Yeah.
Proven leadership.
Proven leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody that's been in a different
Been there, done that, maybe.
that hasn't
Yeah.
doesn't have that problem.
I'm maybe a little biased, but yeah.
I wonder where somebody is
Right.
like that. Where can we find it? That's so funny. That's amazing. So, there's another aspect, and I got some really good stuff we're going to dive into
Yeah,
about
let's do
the
it.
hero's journey of life.
Yeah.
But we're going to get first stay on the politics for a
Cool.
little bit. So I was over at Balboa Park, and I
Yep.
can see Balboa Park from here.
Yep.
And I love that. It's such an incredible, like the resources, like the natural beauty that we have here, and the history in San Diego is incredible.
Yeah.
What I love about parks is, like, I remember as a kid growing up, I didn't have a lot. We didn't have much, but we would go to the park, we'd all play, we'd have a good time. It didn't matter where you're from, who
Right.
you were, you could go enjoy the park.
Right.
You're a little kid, you're out there running around. It's a great time. I can remember it, I have great memories. But I was at the park the other day, and I go to park, and I have part of this men's group. We all go, we're parking, and like someone's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta pay." I'm like, "What? You gotta pay? Like, this is a park. What do you mean
Right.
you gotta pay?" They're like, "Oh yeah, they're charging for parking." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "How much are you charging?" They're like $7, $14, whatever it was. And
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm not paying that."
Right.
I was like, we have
Out
to
of
pay
principle.
taxes. Yeah, we pay taxes, we do all this stuff, but everybody's like, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, when I was young, we would have just not been able to go to the park,
Right.
because we would have had to pay for parking.
Right.
That, like, we had limited resources, and the whole part of a park is we're providing that for people to be able to enjoy,
That's right.
and that's like their safe haven.
Right.
Like, that's a place to escape to be present, to enjoy what the city has to offer. The whole point of a park is it doesn't matter where you are social and the economic scale.
Right.
You are able to enjoy it just like everybody else.
You have a place you belong.
You have a place
The
you
park
belong.
belongs to you.
The park belongs to you. And when you charge for parking, like, that got me. Like, it bothered me
Right.
to a certain degree. But it also didn't just bother me, it bothered everybody else that was there.
Right.
And they all share the same sentiment.
Even if you can afford it.
Even if you can afford it.
Right.
Because it's not even about whether I can pay for it or not. It's about the fact that I'm thinking about the kids,
Right.
that maybe they're limited now
Totally.
to go to the park, because we're mismanaging funds. We're not being responsible. Like, we don't have enough money to do it without charging at the park.
Right.
Like, I just feel like that's a sacred place, and it should be protected as such.
Absolutely.
And I don't know where that process or oversight. Another one I have, and I don't want to jump over there, but it was like blocking the yoga at Law Street.
Yeah.
With Nama Steve. Like, I go to that, and it's like the most incredible experience. You're outside overlooking the
Quintessential
ocean.
San Diego. That's San Diego.
Yeah, you're doing yoga there. You're not bothering nobody. It's clean. Like, it's good health. Like, it's promoting the right thing. I'm like, when I first moved down here and did that, I was like, this is like you should be advertising this as a city of San
Totally.
Diego, not trying to like enforce it.
Right.
I don't get that. So maybe you can. Let's go Balboa
Yeah, let's
first,
do it.
but I want to know what the thought process is behind that. But walk us through, how do you have like this gem of Balboa Park that's so meaningful, and how do we have that type of oversight, or what's the thought process?
Yeah.
behind it?
So let's zoom out even further, because we gotta get into why is the city charging for parking in the first place.
Yeah.
So the city is facing a $100+ million structural deficit. Okay, the city only has 18 months left of cash in reserves right now. Like, it is running out of runway. The city says, hey, taxpayers, we have a revenue problem. We need to generate more revenue. How do cities generate revenue? Through taxes and fees. However, when you look at the city's revenue over the past several years, You know what year they took in an all-time high record amount of tax revenue?
Yeah, probably this last year.
This last year.
Yeah,
So it's like, wait
exactly.
a second here.
Yeah.
How can you say you have a revenue problem when you brought in an all-time high record amount of tax revenue just last fiscal year? It's insane.
Yeah.
So let's look at some other fundamentals. From 2015 through 2024, city's population increased by just 1%. Okay, so San Diego's population has been fairly flat.
Mm.
City staffing has increased by 27%.
Mm.
Middle managers have increased by 461%.
Mm.
And yet performance in every single department for nearly every single metric is lower today than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I can tell you why. I'll tell
Yeah.
you right now.
Tell me. Yeah.
Because you put policies in place like, hey, you got to go visit somebody 4 times to solve a problem
Yeah.
that should have been solved on the first time.
right.
And now what's the cost of that and the resources? It's not just that for those, all the other compounding
Right.
issues that happen from them because they were called once. They obviously did something
Yep.
that caused some sort of problem. 2, now they amplified whatever issue. And how many times weren't they called on in between
Exactly.
that 4 that should have never even happened, that's causing damage? But you take that same philosophy and you apply it to the rest of the city.
Right.
Now, obviously, with the growth of middle management and everything else, there's just more red tape than
layer.
than actual impact that's happening.
Right.
You know, and so you wonder, it's not a income problem.
No.
It's a spending problem.
Spending and management.
Right.
Spending and management. And so the city finds itself in this situation due to their own financial mismanagement where they're running $100+ million deficits. They only have 18 months left of runway before they run out of cash. So what do? They say, okay, we need to raise taxes. 2024, they put a sales tax measure on the ballot. Voters narrowly rejected that. In 2022, they asked voters for the authority to start charging for trash collection for most single family up to 4-unit developments.
Yeah.
And they told the voters, hey, we estimate we're only going to charge you around $23, $25 a month. Voters narrowly approved that. City council, what did they do? They started charging $45 a month as soon as they had the authority. They then said, all right, well, now we need to charge more for parking in downtown San Diego. So they have what's now known as surge pricing, where it can go up as high as $20 an hour to park at the meters in downtown Gaslamp. And then they said, okay, you know what? Now we need to go to Balboa Park. And they started charging at Balboa Park. Well, that brings us to that. So that's the why in terms of why they're charging. It's because they're running a financial structural deficit due to their own financial mismanagement. And that's all it really just comes down to bad spending, bad management decisions. So what are we doing about it, right? Like, so what are we doing about it?
That's where we want to spend time.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So there's a tool in the toolbox that every citizen has to hold their local government accountable. Oftentimes we as citizens just think our only time to participate in local government is at the ballot box every 2 to 4 years, right? When we elect our representatives at the local level. But the other tool is called the Citizens Initiative. And that tool allows any citizen to basically draft up a petition that does a specific thing, repeals an ordinance, implements an ordinance. They file that initiative with the city.
Yeah.
And then 21 days later, they're allowed to go start collecting signatures on that petition from registered City of San Diego voters. And if they collect enough signatures, the city has to, by law, either reconsider that item in front of the whole city council, or it goes to the ballot, and then the voters get to decide on that. So this is actually the first time I'm announcing this on anything public.
Oh, let's go.
We are launching our Citizens Initiative to repeal the parking fees at Balboa Park Saturday, April 4th at 9:30 a.m. over at the Oregon Pavilion. And we'll be having volunteers in Balboa Park and actually all around the city of San Diego collecting signatures for the next month and a half to repeal the parking fees.
Yeah. Any way that I can help support that, I'm in, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that you're taking that initiative.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to.
Someone has to. Someone has to. The city council, they had many opportunities to step up and repeal these fees on their own. They didn't do it. And so now it's up to us as citizens, right? That's our civic responsibility. It's not just the city council that gets to decide how the city's run.
Right.
We get to have a voice too. And this is one way we can do that.
I think that's a big, I think that's a great point right there. It's like a lot of times we like to be passive,
Yeah.
and we like woo is me type approach to things, and like, oh, let me point out what the problem is.
Right.
But we don't ever like it's somebody else's problem.
Totally.
There's a problem, but it's somebody else's problem.
Right.
At some point, when we see something's not right, we we be the one to take the
Exactly.
action.
Right.
But it's like if everybody starts taking that pride of ownership, like
Right.
what you talked about, right? Like, hey, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I take pride in being here. I take pride, and that's what I like is I think there was a time where that pride of just our country, our pride of, everything was just w- wasting away,
Right.
right? Like, and I feel like there's a movement that's bringing that back,
Yeah.
and it's like we're not going to accept just the unacceptable anymore.
Right. And I think it's easy for our generation, right? Because our generation has had it pretty easy, right? Like, we haven't, we probably, I was in middle school when 9/11 happened,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then, but I didn't really know anyone close to me that went to go serve in the Iraq war. There was like my personal friend, maybe the parents of my friends,
yeah,
but not that I knew personally. So, knock on wood, our generation has largely avoided major conflict. Yes, we had the Great Recession in 2008, but all right, so we spend an extra year or two at home with mom and dad, or crash with an extra roommate or two through the Great Recession. Yeah, we had COVID, but you know what happened during COVID? We all got checks to stay at home. Like, yeah, it was tough, like mentally, but compared to what previous generations have gone through, it doesn't compare at all. And so I think it's really easy for our generation, myself included, especially living here in San Diego. Oh, middle of winter on a Wednesday during COVID? Yeah, I'll just go play volleyball with my friends at Mission Beach. Like, it's not really tough, right? That's not
no, that's not.
persevering. And so I think that the silver lining of what I see happening here in San Diego is that people for the first time in a long time are saying, you know what, things aren't right here. And they're looking around for leadership. And a lot of them are end up looking in the mirror being like, wait a second, if no one else is doing anything about this, then
Yeah,
I need to find a way to get
yeah.
involved.
I think you're starting to see that more, which I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing. Question about you: before the mayor seat and before Everest, who is Richard Bailey, and what were you chasing?
Oh, man, that's a big one. Who was Richard Bailey and what was I chasing? Something I've always struggled with is I think I'm sure a lot of people struggle with this is I almost felt like I needed validation from others that I was doing the right thing.
Mm,
And that's a losing proposition.
it is.
Um and you mentioned at the start of the podcast that one of the things we had talked about was my whole thing on, hey, just start it. Whatever you're trying to do, just start it. And I remember when I was 26 years old and I was thinking about running for San Diego City, thinking about running for Coronado City Council at the time. This is back in 2012. And I met with a whole bunch of current council members, former council members, planning commissioners, et cetera, over in Coronado. And I wanted their blessing, like, hey, I'm thinking about running for Coronado City Council. And they all said the same thing. You're too young. No one will take you seriously. You're not going to win this election. So don't do it. Like, don't waste your time. But I just felt so like called to do it. But I also felt uneasy that I wasn't getting this validation early on
Yeah,
that, hey, you can do it. And then I just kind of had this aha moment of, you know what? Everyone I'm talking to right now seeking their validation, they're all part of this insider clique. And yeah, they don't know who I am and they know who my council opponents would be, but the rest of the electorate doesn't know who they are. And so I just need to go meet with the rest of the voters. And
right.
so for the next 3 months, every day after work, I would go knock on likely voters' doors until the sun went down. And I did that 7 days a week. So I sought their permission. I didn't get their permission. I thought, well, I'm just going to go do this on my own. I'm just going to start. And one of my favorite stories to tell is that on many occasions, I would knock on someone's door, right? So outside the insider group, like I would just knock on someone's door, or just a regular likely voter, have a great conversation, shake their hand, and they would say, you know what? You're a nice young man. Uh, we need to have someone like you on the city council. You're probably not going to win this one. And as I would turn and walk away, they would say, but I'm still going to vote for you. And that was like, okay, like, hey, I'm just starting and I'm getting validation by just doing it. Like
Right.
I'm getting validation through the process of doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't, if I had waited for validation to actually start, I never would have
You
started.
would have never
Would have
started.
never started. But by starting, that validation came
By
along the way.
getting in the game,
Yeah.
taking the shots,
Yeah.
you're able to get the shot closer and closer to goal.
That's true. Yeah. And so that was kind of a big aha for me. And then I still have to remind myself of sometime, right? Because we're all human, and I think we naturally seek permission from others to get something done rather than just like rolling up our sleeves and doing it.
Let's get in the game.
Get in the
To
game,
start.
man. Yeah. To
Yeah, I
start.
love that. What would you say, growing up, or like what part of this process drew you in to desire to be a public servant?
I wish I knew where that came from. I've just always had a natural curiosity with both politics, like the art of campaigning. How do you convince enough people to elect you to a position? And then more importantly, what do you actually do when you're in that position? We're all wired differently, right? Like we all have our own unique curiosities and passions in life. For whatever reason, one of mine just happened to be public policy. And I felt curious about it since the time I was 13 years old. And just always try to consume as much information as I could about it. And then, what do you know? Fast forward when I was 26 and decided, okay, I'm going to try to run for office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you doing before you were running for office?
Yeah. I went to school for business finance at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and then got a master's in economics from the University of North Dakota. And I was working as a financial analyst for pretty large aerospace company down in the South Bay.
Okay.
And I had a great team around me, great manager and director, and they were very encouraging of pursuing passions outside of work. And so, they gave me the latitude to go start down this public policy journey, which, led me to where I am today. And so I'm just forever grateful for that.
Man, I love that, man. This is really great. I think you have a unique gift, that calling that you're stepping into, that you have this just really like, I like the word common sense because common sense isn't that common anymore.
Right.
But it's you have that approach. It just reminds me of like the fundamental foundation of what I remember growing up, thinking that things should be like.
Right.
Right. And unfortunately, as you grow up, you realize things aren't that way.
Right.
Right. And so
Sounds obvious. Right.
I think you getting back to the fundamentals and applying that, just to the principles of how we operate as a city, as a government, and being continuing with that same strategy of like knocking on doors, just
Yeah.
being persistent, persevering. And we'll talk about some persevering right now. So you had a goal to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Take us to Everest, not the logistics, the internal experience. What were you feeling when you were on that mountain? And where were the moments where you genuinely didn't know if you were going to make it?
Actually happened a few times.
Mm.
A few times. So, to kind of set the stage for the listeners, viewers that are unaware, Everest is located over Nepal. It's 29,032 feet high, and you can approach it from either Nepal or China. Uh, it's pretty common to come from the Nepalese side, so we went from Nepal. It takes about 8 days just to hike to base camp. Get to base camp. Base camp's like 17,500 feet. And the first time, like the first night, like you walk into base camp and you're huffing and puffing because the altitude of base camp's half of the oxygen at
Yeah.
base camp is half what it is here at sea level. So you walk in there and you're just looking around in disbelief. Like as an Everest enthusiast, to arrive at base camp is like, oh my gosh, I made it. And you can see the summit. Like you can see the summit. And you settle in, you do a little team briefing, you get into your tents, like you're going to sleep for the first night, just like thinking, I can't believe I'm here. And in the middle of the night, you hear this loud boom. And you almost like don't believe it. You're almost like, did I just make that up in my head? You hear it again several times throughout the night. Boom. Like an explosion. And it's not till the next morning you get up and you're just hanging out at the campgrounds and you hear that same explosion sound again, and you see a large avalanche off in the distance. All those explosion sounds you heard were avalanches, ice fall breaking all around you. Now, base camp's in a fairly safe location, but
Yeah.
it's very close by to all these you know,
It's a little bit of a wake up
it
call,
is
huh?
big wake up call, big wake up call.
It's
So
like,
that's
okay, it's real.
welcome. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Like, yeah, it's beautiful, but you're not supposed to be here. Like, you're
Yeah.
not supposed to be
Uh,
here. It's it's not you versus the mountain, because if it's you versus the mountain's going to win. The
every
mountain's not
time.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's going to, it might give you permission to pass, but like it's not going anywhere. And so then you spend about a week or two going up the mountain as high as Camp 3, which is at 23,000 feet. And after you get to Camp 3, you turn around and come all the way back down to base camp. And the reason you do that is because on your summit day, when you're at like between 26,000 and 29,000 feet high, you're on an oxygen system. And one of the biggest risks to you is that if the oxygen system freezes up on you at that altitude and you haven't properly acclimatized by going all the way up to Camp 3 and coming down without oxygen, your system you'll become hypoxic within a matter of minutes and you'll die.
Yeah.
You'll just die on the mountain. So you come all the way back down, and then it's time to wait for your weather window and then go up. Yeah. So that's just the start of it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
As you talk about hypoxia, so I go to this place called It Factor.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go hit a workout
do it,
together.
yeah.
Well, I love that place. The owners are from
Oh, they're great. Oh my
Australia.
gosh. Yeah.
Joey, shout out
Love
to
them.
Joey and Shane. But man, they're like, I love that. But I can just tell a difference because what it is it simulates 13,000 feet elevation. And you're talking about more than double that.
Yeah.
But you're in there and you're working out kind of like a F-45, but basically the altitude.
Right.
And so I notice a big difference when I go there consistently versus when I haven't been there in a while.
Absolutely.
And it's just I'm just not able to function the same, right? So I can't imagine being on a mountain. And I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that you go up to base 3, go back down, and then climb back up and then summit.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
That's probably the reason it takes so long.
Yeah.
And, so getting to that summit day, or the days leading up to the summit day, you are going so slow as you're climbing the mountain. So from Camp 4, which is at 26,000 feet high, to the summit. So let me take a step back here. Okay. So we're going to go from base camp to Camp 1. We'll spend the night at Camp 1. Go to Camp 2. We'll spend a couple nights at Camp 2. That's at about 20,000, 21,000 feet. Go to Camp 3 at 23,000 feet. Next morning, we're going to leave early, get into Camp 4 at 26,000 feet. Or we're going to get into Camp 4 after 12 hours of climbing at about 6 p.m. or so. Within 4 to 6 hours, we're going to leave for the summit. So you strap in all your gear. You're heading towards the summit at midnight. The summit is only about 1.2, 1.4 miles away from Camp 4. That's it, right? 1.2, 1.4 miles, right? If I tell you that today at sea level,
you're right there.
You're right there. And it's like, you don't have to go very far. You're moving 0.1 miles per hour.
Wow.
It takes you about 12 hours to get to the summit from Camp 4. And then it takes you another 12 hours to get all the way back down to safety. So unfortunately for me, on my first attempt, as I mentioned earlier, I caught this bug after our rotation, right? I didn't even get a summit bid. So I was literally on a plane ride home because I was so sick while my climbing partners were all going for the summit. And man, that just ate at me.
Oh.
That just destroyed me.
I'm back.
So this time around, come back again, and I caught a bug again, but I'm a little higher up the mountain. I can't keep any food in, or hydration in. If I take anything, it's coming out one way or the other.
Yeah.
So on summit day, I'm severely dehydrated. I have not been able to drink anything for about 72 hours. I haven't been able to eat anything for a good 24, 40 hours. It just comes out. And I am moving even slower than the rest of the team. Meanwhile, the weather's starting to turn. Our oxygen's starting to run low. And we get to this one point, it's called the South Summit. And at this point, you're just a few hundred feet below the summit elevation, but you have this ridge to traverse. And this ridge is only 2 boots wide in some areas. And it's a 5,000 foot drop on one side and a 3,000 foot drop on the other. And it was kind of like a gut check moment of, hey, if you're going to turn around, you should turn around now.
No. Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I felt so much shame and disappointment in failing the first time, I remember thinking to myself, I would rather summit and die on the way down than turn around right now. Like, I'm not turning around right now. I'm too darn close. And so push through it. But man, I was hurting. I was in so much pain. My body was just completely shut down because I had no nutrition whatsoever. We get to the summit. We sit on the summit, and there's about maybe like 5 or 6 other climbers coming and going. And you know how long we spent on the summit? It took us 33 days to get there. You know how long we spent on the summit?
How long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
33 days.
33 days to get there.
That's all the training.
All the training
for 5 minutes.
for 5 minutes.
It reminds me of like the 100-meter sprinter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like you train your whole life for this 9 seconds.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it.
It's like-
Yeah. And everything has to go right that 9 seconds. Yeah, man. And then like on the way down, there's this moment where it was from the time we left Camp 4 to the time we went all the way back down to Camp 3, because it's just not safe to sleep at Camp 4. The altitude is just too rough on your body. So we go all the way back down to Camp 3. It took us 24 hours straight to get to Camp 3.
Well, let's go back.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because that is one thing I would think about. Is like you only really think about making it up there.
Yeah.
But then you got to go back down.
Got to go back down.
And that seems like a pretty tough thing. But tell us, like, you know, it's on my bucket list to climb Mount Everest.
Oh, heck
like,
yeah.
I love, bro, like anything that really challenges like the human spirit and like that. Like I love that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what is that like the moment that you walk up and you made the decision, I'm either gonna make it to the top or I'm gonna die trying.
Yeah.
Like you literally made that decision.
Yeah.
What was it like when you made it to the top?
I wish I could tell you I got to the top. I stood triumphantly on the top. Right. Yeah. I threw out the arms, thought back to that little 12-year-old Ricky who wanted to come do this and get it done, and just, you know, took in all the sights and sounds and views and whatnot. That's not what happened. I got to the top and I was in such bad shape. My first thought was not triumph. Like, it was actually relief, because every step until that moment was a step further away from safety, further away from home. And I knew I was in bad shape. Like, I knew this was getting pretty dicey.
Yeah.
And so when I sat down, I thought to myself, I've done it. No matter what happens from here on out, I've summited Mount Everest. And now I get to go home. I get to go home. I get to be safe. I get to get, like, you know, medical treatment. But there's a big gap between being on the summit and actually getting back to safety.
Right.
You have to traverse this narrow ridge, right? The same way in, same way out. And I got to tell you, there's a few spots in there where, you know, you're trying. At this point, I had lost a lot of my depth perception because I was so dehydrated. My muscles were cramping up on me like crazy.
Right.
I could not swallow because I just had no saliva because I was so dehydrated. And so I was in a ton of pain, and you're trying to do everything right. And in that moment, you're unable to think about anything else because you have no mental bandwidth. It is literally execute with extreme intentionality, or there's a really good chance you're going to miss a clip into a safety line and die. And, you know, that was something I learned, like, and it was only upon reflection that you had to give it your all in that moment. You had no choice. It was either give it your all or you're probably going to die. And ironically, it's really easy to give it your all when you know you're going to die.
Mistakes,
right? Like that makes it really easy to put up your best performance. And I try to apply that to my life just in the day to day. But it's so difficult to do because the stakes aren't that high. And when they aren't that high, and it's, well, what's the worst case scenario? Oh, I still got this great job. It's not my dream job, but I still got this great job. And, oh, well, even if I fail at this, so what? I still get to go play volleyball with my friends on the weekend. And, you know, like, the stakes just aren't nearly as high. But if you could somehow apply that same mentality of extreme intentionality, like your life depended on it, man, you could accomplish anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. It's like the intentionality.
Yeah.
Like when you live life with intention and the design, you can actually design your life.
Yeah.
And so many people they'll spend so much energy living life, but not actually taking the time to ensure that the life they live is a life worthwhile living.
Right.
and then they get to a certain place, and it's going to be hard either way.
Yeah.
We're going to go through adversity either way. You might as well go through adversity and end up on the top of Mount Everest.
Right. For something you want to do.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and because that is living an epic life.
Totally.
Because I always look at it this way. When I die, I'm going to sit in front of God, and God's going to go, okay, Garin, let's look at the life that you lived, put on the tape. Now, let me grab the tape of what I made you to live.
Mm-hmm.
Here are all the gifts I gave you. This is the best version of you.
Right.
And I think about this daily is like, how close am I living to that version?
Right.
And am I gonna accomplish those things? So if you look on that little notepad right there,
I like
it says 10-year 2035, 1,000 homes built, and that's for different families down in like other countries, 100 learning centers for kids. Because I didn't have a lot growing up.
Yeah.
I felt alone. Like, and so when you go down to the orphanages, you see like that impact that you just being there makes, and then 1 million lives impacted. So it's like when you are clear about the life that you desire,
Right.
and you think about that, and every action is geared around that, it's unlimited what you can do.
That's true.
And how many people have climbed Mount Everest?
Since it was first climbed about 75 years ago, and there's been about 5,000 climbers.
5,000
Yeah.
climbers.
Yeah.
Out of how many people in the world?
Yeah. We're currently about 8 billion.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you do that over the same amount of period of time.
Right. Exactly.
So the percent that you're at that have done that, how many people have said, I would love to climb Mount Everest?
Right. Well, going back to that real quick, like I mentioned that it was my mom taking me to see this Everest documentary at the Balboa Park.
Balboa Park.
Balboa Park. And I was around 12 years old, and I became obsessed with it. I started consuming all the news I could find about it, every book, movie, etc. And I had done a bunch of marathons and triathlons, and I played team sports and all these things, but I had never actually done any mountaineering. And I still told all my friends, yeah, one day I'm going to climb Mount Everest. One day I want to do it. I like the sound of that. That'd be cool. But it wasn't until I was like 32, 33 where it hit me one night. Wait a second. You're not getting any younger here.
Yeah.
And you literally have not taken a single step to actually make climbing Mount Everest a possibility. What are you waiting for? Like, it's not going to climb itself. And climbing Everest isn't something like you can just like say, oh, I want to do this weekend. It takes like years of preparation.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to actually do this, you better start. And that was a big kind of aha for me. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm just letting life slip away and not actually making progress towards one of my goals in life.
So what was that? What did that preparation look like? What was that lead up to?
Yeah.
Did you climb some other mountains or?
Climbed a lot of other mountains. So, getting back to the whole just start thing, right? Like first thing I did was the very first thing I did, since I was already a pretty active person, was I booked a trip to Nepal to go hike to base camp.
Yeah.
Because my thought was the hike to base camp is very easy. You could do it in your trail runner shoes. But I wanted to be in that environment.
Right.
I wanted to be able to see it.
To
start to visualize
flare.
it. Yeah.
I could touch it almost.
Exactly. And I wanted also to see like, all right, am I really serious about this?
Yeah.
Like, does it feel too big to take on, or does it feel too small to take on? Like, maybe I get there. I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought it'd be. And like, maybe I lose interest. I wanted to just be able to touch it. So go to Nepal, get to base camp. And I remember looking at it and being like, I don't know how the heck anyone could do that. It just looked, even from base camp, so far away, so big, so unattainable. But somehow, when other people have done it, you're like, all right, well, they've done it. I can figure it out too. So from there, once I could like actually visualize it in person, that's when I started climbing like other mountains. So I'd go to the Sierras, right? And just go up Whitney a couple times. But that led to going down to Ecuador and going up to 16,000 feet on some of the mountains down there and getting some new gear for the first time, like cold weather gear, high mountain gear. Then from there, it's go down to South America, climb Aconcagua, the tallest peak in South America. Then go over to Africa, climb the tallest peak in Africa, Kilimanjaro, which, you can do that in your trail shoes too, but you get exposed to higher and higher altitude.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just like, to go take a mountaineering course in the Cascade Mountain Range. And
See, that's where I grew up.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So when I was 7 or 8, me and my dad, we went and did the Wonderland Trail.
Okay.
And so we went and camped out there. It was like 3 days and like just hiked that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it was the most incredible experience.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it at that, that point. but there's nothing better than being out in nature in that environment.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
That's what gets me. It's so simple. It's eating, drinking, sleeping, making sure you got shelter. Like it really simplifies life. And there's something that's just beautiful about that.
Isn't that amazing? The more that we evolve in life, it seems like the simpler that we desire life to be.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like this arc.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And I crave it now. Like I crave it. Like having every year for the past probably 4 years, I've done at least one big mountaineering trip a year. And a big mountaineering trip usually takes on a minimum like 2 to 3 weeks and a maximum probably 5 to 6 weeks. And when I'm in that moment with some other like great climbing partners, all I'm thinking about is doesn't get better than this.
Doesn't get better than this. Is that do you feel like as human beings we just overcomplicate everything?
Yeah.
That's
It's this weird cycle of, oh, everything's too simple, so let's make it a little more complicated. And things are too complicated, so let's try to make it more simple, which ends up making things more complicated. And just getting back to the basics.
Getting back to the
Man, I
basics.
remember like finally when I got back down to Camp 3, coming from down the summit, and you're supposed to sleep at Camp 3 with oxygen, but we'd run out of oxygen, and the most splitting headache you can possibly imagine because it's just your body, the physiological effects of low oxygen levels are really tough. But I remember like getting like unzipping my tent and like looking outside, and it was like the perfect morning. It was fortunately we had such great weather that morning, and just thinking, man, all I need right now is like some warm noodles, and some tea,
Yeah.
and I am living, baby. Like that's all I wanted, and like that was a luxury to me. Yeah, and I don't want anything else. That's all I want is some noodles and some tea.
I
Yeah.
love that so much, man. A lot of people set big goals and abandon them when it gets uncomfortable. What did Everest teach you about commitment that you wish more people understood?
I have failed at a lot of things. I have started and stopped a lot of things. Way more things than I'm probably too embarrassed to admit. Um, Everest was the first, maybe not, it wasn't the first. Everest was certainly the biggest thing I had really set my mind to. And I had told my friends and family, this is what I want to do. Um, and it was a like burning desire that I could not shake. Like if I had failed that second time, I would have gone back a third time. And if I failed that third time, I would have gone back a fourth time. Like for whatever reason, you're going to have to kill me to keep me from climbing Mount Everest. I just had to do it. And I can't explain why necessarily, but I just had that. I needed to get it done. And funny enough, after I finished, I used to, for years leading up to climbing Everest, I would go to sleep thinking about it. Like, once again, I was obsessive over it. After I did it, I think about the journey a lot. Like, I miss it a lot, but it doesn't keep me up at night. Like, it was almost like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. I had to get it done. And I think because I had to get it done, I wasn't able to give up on it. Now, that makes it easy not to give up on something. So how do you apply that to stuff where you can give up on it? That's the trick, right? Like, yeah, if you want to go for your dream job, well, nothing's forcing you to go for your dream job. It's like finding that burning desire to want to do it and then finding the discipline necessary to actually achieve it. That's the tough part. And for me, what really helped me in terms of the discipline was that as soon as I got done with one mountaineering trip, I immediately booked the next one. Like I didn't wait. I immediately booked the next one. Now, some mountains only have certain seasons you can climb them. So that season might not be for another 6 months, but I would immediately book it so that I had something to look forward to. I had something to hold me accountable. So this is like my future self holding my current self accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. The future self holding your current self accountable. I used to think about that a lot when we talk about that is even when I was a child, young, I'd be gym, whatever, like at the sports. And I was like, I got to show up and I'm going to push because I knew my future self would thank me.
Yeah.
And then I would think about my current self and this. I was like, can't let my past self that put all the sacrifice,
Right.
like let them down.
Right.
And then I can't let my future self,
Right.
like I got set the future self up for success.
Right.
And I think if you apply that, like just that accountability to you, You know, when you're like, you've been through so much, like as human beings, this human experiences, it's not easy, but it's not easy on purpose.
Yeah.
Like that's a part of what
If it was easy, why would it matter?
wouldn't,
Right.
right? And then just like that's why we're talking about Everest.
Yeah.
If it was an easy thing, it wouldn't even be a topic of conversation.
Right.
No one would be excited to talk
You're
about.
not asking me about Cowles Mountain.
I love Cow.
No offense, it's great, right? Yeah, man, I've been up that thing hundreds of times.
It's funny. I went every New Year's, so I get up early, like
Yeah.
3:30 in the morning. But every New Year's on New Year's Day, I climb out Cowles Mountain, and I watch the sunrise.
Cool.
So this last year it was pouring,
Mm.
and I probably would have had like 30 people that went. But I was like, everybody's like, oh, no, I even did a video. I was like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, because it was like coming down.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still went. And then 2 other people showed up too. And we went up there and climbed to the top. But it was this incredible like way to start the year.
Yeah,
and set the
absolutely.
intention, you
Yeah.
know?
Hey, it's easy to do it when it's not raining.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of respect for the people that showed up. And like you set the intention, you follow through, you start the year that way.
Right.
Like that sets a precedent.
Right.
For the rest of the year. So it's like if it means something to you, finding that way for it to mean something,
Right.
you know, you'll find that. So I love it, man. I love it. You know, question for you. So what's the difference between a politician and a true public servant? Have you seen both? And which one are you trying to be?
There's a big difference between both of them. A politician is someone that is simply playing the game. And that game is the game of getting elected. A public servant is someone that actually understands the role that they're running for, and they care more about the job than the title.
Mm.
Unfortunately, like one of the biggest problems facing us at the local, state, and federal level in many ways is that you have a lot of unserious people in very serious positions that care more about the title than the job. And I look at that, I could care less about the title. Like, I don't want the title at all. I would be honored to have the job to do good by my community because I feel like my community is suffering through bad policies. And so I think that's, the idea of a public servant is someone that is willing to sacrifice. And even the sacrifice isn't huge, right? Like being an elected official in the city of San Diego, it pays pretty well. I mean, it pays more than the median salary by a long shot. So you're getting compensated for it. You get health benefits for it. So it's not even much of a public sacrifice. Now, is it something that I would necessarily want to do? If everything was going well in the city of San Diego? No, because I don't care about the title. Like, I don't want to be called, oh, Mr. City Council Member, Mr. Mayor. Like, I don't get off on that. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's like, oh, did I get that stop sign in so your kid can feel safe? So you as a parent can feel, have peace of mind when your kid walks to school on a crosswalk. Yeah, that makes me feel good. Yeah. Did we solve the homeless issue, right? Are your roads actually paved? Are your taxes and fees lower than they were before? Like, that's what excites me. And I think that's the 2 biggest differences. Like the politicians, they're in it for the game, man. They're in it for the game. The game is the worst part of it. I don't like the game. Now you have to play the game to actually be in the position to become a public servant. And I think that's why a lot of people shy away from it because the game sucks. It doesn't reward competency. It doesn't reward education. It doesn't reward knowledge about public policy. It awards people that inherently have played the game. And we need to change that. Yeah.
Wow. So to be able to make the change, you have to play the game to create the change. But once you've played the game, then you can create the change.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
and the problem is like attracting people that are willing to play the game, not for the sake of the game, but to get to the point where they can actually make policy change.
The end goal is not to win that game.
No.
That's to get into the door to create the change, be the public servant.
Right. And most people that are in politics just want to play the game. They bring in like right now, like when you look at the current composition of the San Diego City Council, what's their professional background? Of the 9 council members and the mayor, it's a rare exception to have someone that isn't a former government staffer or community organizer.
Right.
And now there's nothing wrong with former government staffers or community organizers. But when every single person on the board of directors is a former government staffer and community organizer,
they don't have a different perspective.
Right. There's no diversity of professional experience.
You have to have that diversity.
Exactly.
Because if I'm in a room and everybody agrees with everything I'm saying, I'm in the wrong room.
I don't need
everybody in the room.
Right.
I want a difference of opinion that's going to drive
Right.
like a different view of how to
Totally.
solve a problem.
Right. It's going to add to it, right? Like, hey, from my perspective, this is a way we could tackle it. And you need someone else to say, you know what, from my perspective, here's the way we could tackle it. All right, let's figure out what's the best way to tackle it together
Right.
from two rational human or multiple rational human beings that are working in good faith.
So one of the last questions on this, and we're going to go to rapid fire,
Yeah.
and then I have one last
Okay.
question for you. So let's say it's your perfect world.
Yeah.
Let's say maybe it's 5-10 years down the line, and you're elected into all the different places that you desire. Let's say you're mayor of San Diego.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you're mayor of San Diego. What does San Diego look like after you've got back to the basics? After you've implemented this and you changed the culture.
Yeah.
What is it for somebody listening, a resident?
Yeah.
Like for me, when I'm walking out, for Yessie when she's walking the street,
Yeah.
or just living in here, what is the difference, the feeling, what is created in your view?
That you feel comfortable with Yessie walking around downtown in the middle of the night by herself, going out for a run by herself. That someone taking their kids to or from school doesn't need to worry about having to get a new alignment on their car because the roads are actually fixed now. That when you go play, when you go down to Ocean Beach and you're trying to enjoy a day at the beach, you don't have to worry about your kids going into the public restroom. That one, it's not going to be clean. Two, that it's going to be unsafe. But you know that there's going to be a clean, safe public facility there. That the city of San Diego has adequate amount of reserves and that it's running in a financially responsible way, focused on the basics, so that you don't have to worry about a unexpected tax increase on the sale of your home or a new sales tax. That you as a business have confidence that if you're going to do a little remodel, that the city is not going to slow you down for months and nickel and dime you for all these permits, that things just work to the point where you don't recognize the city because it's just happening seamlessly around you, right? Like it's not an impediment to you. It's just aiding what you're trying to accomplish for your own personal and professional life. No one should be talking about city government. They shouldn't. They should be able to live their own life, that they don't have to worry about when they go to Balboa Park getting hit with an $8 to $15 parking fee. They just can go enjoy a public resource. They're not talking about city government because it's just working. That's the goal.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture. I love that. That's a great goal. Am I doing yoga at Lost?
Yes,
Park?
we're doing it together, brother.
Yes, let's go. Oh, what a waste of energy and
Seriously.
resources, man. All right, so thank you for painting that picture. I think it's really important for people to truly understand, the foundational pieces of like, what do you really stand for?
Yeah.
Like what really matters, and then people like they can make a decision what they desire the outcomes to be. And I think when we talk about this, it's pretty clear, and so, all right, let's jump into a rapid fire.
Okay.
So, rapid fire, first answer that comes to mind. One word that describes where you are right now in life.
In between.
Everest or City Hall? Which one was harder?
City Hall. City Hall.
The biggest misconception people have about local government.
That it gets it right.
That's a good one. What does Coronado mean to you in one sentence?
The first place I felt at home as an adult. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. The quality every good leader has that nobody talks about.
Intellectual honesty.
Intellectual honesty.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It means a number of things. I think a lot of politicians, public officials, feel as though they have to have all the answers to everything. And the reality is that most of them, myself included, are not subject matter experts in anything, let alone everything.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have the intellectual honesty to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that. However, here is the role of local government or state government or federal government. Here is my understanding of the role, and here's my understanding of the question you asked and the information around that. You help me answer the rest. and having the humility to say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And I want to invite the people that are subject matter experts into this field to be able to influence me. And we don't have enough of that in politics these days.
Thank you. Something you had to unlearn to become a better public servant.
That I knew everything.
Like I said, you exactly,
man.
Finish this sentence. The people who change their communities are the ones who
Show up. That's simple.
Sometimes
right or wrong too, like for better or worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to agree on everything.
Right.
And you know what? That's okay.
It's okay.
Because we need that diversification of, but when only one
Exactly
is heard or seen or only weighted,
that's right.
That's what creates.
I can't tell you how many times, City of San Diego is a big city, home to 1.1 plus million people. You know how many people actually show up to City Hall during city council meetings? Maybe half a dozen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's the same people all the time.
Same people all the time. You want to make a change? Show up to City Hall.
Yeah.
And you're there in front of all 9 council members. The mayor has a representative there. Like, you want to get your voice heard? Those are literally all the leaders in the city at once.
Yeah.
Go to City Hall.
Yeah.
Show up.
Yeah. Create an impact.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's just show up.
To show up.
Show up. So I want to do something with you, a little bit of, I call it the perfect day.
Okay.
Right. So I want to understand with you, and we're going to close our eyes. We're going to breathe. And then I want you to explain to everybody, let's say it's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whenever, maybe it's tomorrow, but for you in your life, you live in your highest self. You're doing like everything in you did Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what does that perfect day look like for Richard Bailey? And so first, let's close our eyes. Let's take a big deep breath in. Exhale out. Let's do that again. Let's exhale out. And on this one, when you breathe in, just visualize who you're with, what your day looks like, the feeling when you wake up, just everything about that perfect day, where you are, where you go. And just
waking up early, driving to the beach with my close friends, getting our competitive game of intermediate beach volleyball in, trash talking. Afterwards, I'm a child, man. Afterwards, grabbing a snow cone over on the Mission Beach boardwalk there. Coming home, taking a little nap, maybe watching some Padres. It's a Sunday, so it's an afternoon game. And then in the evening, doing family dinner with my mom and sister.
Love that.
That's my perfect day.
It's your perfect day, man.
Yeah.
Such a San Diego.
It is, man. Dude, I love that. I love that.
Such a San Diego.
Yeah.
Bro, I love it, man. I'll tell you this. You have my vote.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. One vote down, a lot to go.
Yeah, bro. But bro, I do want to just share with you that the way that you view just the world and that question about politician versus public servant, that says so much about who you are as a human being. And you've overcome this adversity and you've said, hey, here's a challenge, here's something in my life that I want to go, and I'm going to, no matter what, I'm willing to die for it.
Yeah.
And you literally made that decision and you went and you persevered. That's somebody that I want in my corner. And I know everybody else that's listening to this or that meets you is going to feel that way.
Oh, thank you.
And so I'm grateful that people like you are taking the time and the energy to impact this world. Because the community all starts with these little ripple effects.
Yep.
And when we take care of what's right here, because I think about this a lot. I go down to Mexico, we go down to orphanages, we build homes for families, and it creates this huge impact. And there's all these stories that I have around that and just how it continues to carry. But I sometimes I think about, am I doing enough in my own backyard?
Yeah.
And so, it's really important. I think anybody that's listening, you have an opportunity any day to go and make some sort of impact.
Absolutely.
And if somebody's thinking about that right now, what's one thing that they can do that's, not a lot of resistance for them just to go show up, besides like city council, but like
Yeah.
go and be part of the community, maybe volunteer somewhere. What would you recommend for
Gosh,
somebody?
there are so many great little community groups that do something little but meaningful within their respective towns. Like, for example, there's the Point Loma Optimist Club. And if you ever drive down Rosecrans
Yeah,
on Sunday,
yeah,
you'll notice there's flags out, American flags
yeah.
out along
Yeah, I
Rosecrans.
go to church over at
Do you?
Captivate, and then I go to
Oh, there you go.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's who puts those flags out, right? Like it's something we all probably like take for granted.
yeah.
It's the Point Loma Optimist
Oh,
Club,
that's
a
cool.
group of guys that are just volunteers. They break it out, they assign shifts on different Sundays, and they go out and they put out the flags. There's another community group uh, over in Claremont that will take it upon themselves once or twice a month, and they pick an area of town and they go do landscaping there where the city has kind of like let it go a little bit.
Yeah,
And it's just like that's a great way to give back.
yeah. Take
It
the
actually
civic pride.
totally to have pride in where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Richard Bailey, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. We value your time so much and appreciate you spending it with us. We hope that this made an impact with you. And you also had an insight to Richard Bailey, his mind, the way that he views the world, and the impact that he is creating in the city of San Diego. If you enjoy this, please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Makes an impact, makes a difference, and we appreciate you. We will see you next week on the Gynergy Effect podcast.
If this episode spoke to your soul,
Share it with someone you love and tag us at the Gynergy Effect. We'd love to connect.
and remember, your energy is your power. Use it with intention.